Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
In a not-so-distant future, Earth thrived under the gaze of two moons, shimmering silver and opalescent blue. Humanity had reached the stars, encountering myriad alien species across the cosmos. Yet, with every interstellar alliance came a specter of fear and misunderstanding, particularly towards those who appeared drastically different. Among these were the Zolothians, a race that, despite their ethereal beauty, were often labeled as monsters due to their unfamiliar features and tumultuous history on Earth. Ada stood at the edge of the forest, her heart a cacophony of hope and despair. With skin that shimmered like liquid silver under the moonlight, elongated limbs, and large, multifaceted eyes, she was striking yet haunting. Those who saw her recoiled in fear. The rumors surrounding her race twisted their perceptions. She was a creature of the old tales, a being capable of great destruction. The scars of her people's past still lingered in the hearts of many. Once, Ada believed she could find acceptance among humans, but after countless instances of rejection and hostility, she withdrew into the shadows of the forests on the outskirts of human settlements, choosing solitude over the sting of cruelty. She crafted a life among the trees, learning their whispers and embracing their presence, yearning for the companionship she had long been denied. Enter Jack, a human who had spent a lifetime grappling with the weight of expectation. A brilliant scientist with a penchant for exploring the unknown, he had dedicated himself to studying the creatures that Earth now shared its air with. Yet, underneath the guise of academic enthusiasm lay a restless soul, one who felt more at home in the fringes of society than in its bustling heart. Jack ventured deeper into the alien territories, his heart racing with anticipation. Skeptics called him reckless, but denial of the monsters that lurked among the stars fueled his determination to validate their existence and their humanity. As he crossed into the realm of the Zolothians, the air grew heavy with enchantment, suffused with an otherworldly light. On this evening, guided by the pulsing energy of curiosity, he found himself drawn to the depths of the forest where tales of a mysterious alien lingered. He heard whispers of a creature who roamed beneath the moons, beautiful yet terrifying, a gentle spirit behind monstrous tales. He had to see her. As he stepped through the thick strands of luminous foliage, he caught a glimpse of movement, a swift silhouette gliding through the twilight. His breath hitched in his throat as he articulated her presence. Ada was real. She froze in place, her large eyes fixated on him, radiating a mixture of fear and wonder. The moment felt suspended between worlds, a fragile thread woven of fear and intrigue. "Please, I mean you no harm," Jack called out, his voice steady despite his erratic heartbeat. He extended his hand, palm facing upward, a gesture of peace. Ada hesitated, her instinct screaming at her to flee. But rather than run, she stepped closer, entranced by the soft glow of his being, a stark contrast to the dim shadows of her existence. She could sense his intentions, a quiet determination that disarmed her caution. In that moment, two worlds collided, a fragile connection sparked amidst a backdrop of societal divides. She was a monster, yes, but here stood a man who dared to see her differently. The air was thick with tension as Jack and Ada stood just feet apart, two beings from vastly different worlds brought together by sheer fate. Despite the hesitance that lingered in Ada's heart, curiosity flickered within her large, shimmering eyes. Jack's presence was unlike any human she had encountered. There was an energy about him that felt authentic, a warmth that beckoned her closer instead of pushing her away. "Your beauty is otherworldly," Jack murmured, his voice barely a whisper. "You're not a monster. You're—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Wonderful." Ada's heart raced in response to the compliment. No one had ever spoken to her like that. She often anticipated scoffs, disgust, or outright rejection at the mere sight of her. Instead, Jack's eyes reflected awe, not fear. "Why do you approach me?" Ada finally found her voice, her tone laced with a mix of skepticism and hope. "Humans have always feared us. I am not what you think I am." "I know what people say," Jack replied earnestly, taking a cautious step closer. But I choose to seek out the truth, regardless of the stories told. I want to learn about you, about your world. Feeling the weight of his words, Ada's guarded heart began to thaw. She had lived in the shadows for far too long, confined to her self-imposed exile. Could this human truly see her as something more? I live away from them, hiding from those who would harm me, she confessed, her voice trembling with vulnerability. You should turn back. It is not safe to be here. Jack's expression shifted to one of determination. I won't abandon you. I want to help change perceptions. Let me understand who you really are. For a moment, an unspoken bond began to form between them. Ada debated whether or not to trust him. After all, he was still a human, a member of a species that had written her kind off as monsters. Yet he appeared sincere, open to the possibility that there could be more to her than the horror stories. Come, Ada urged suddenly, her instincts overpowering her hesitance. Let me show you. They slipped deeper into the heart of the forest, the luminescent plants illuminating their path, a kaleidoscope of colors painting the world around them. Each step Ada took seemed to free her from the chains of her past. She led Jack to a secluded glade where the ground sparkled with bioluminescent moss and flowers that danced in the gentle breeze, their sweet fragrances blanketing the air. This is my sanctuary, Ada said softly, free from judgment, free from fear. Jack's eyes widened in awe as he observed the vibrant ecosystem surrounding them. It's beautiful, he breathed, just like you. Ada felt a shy smile spread across her lips. I tend to it alone. I talk to the trees, the creatures. They understand me in ways no human has ever tried to. She gestured to a nearby flower that glowed with a soft blue hue. As she reached out to touch it, it swayed towards her as if greeting her. Jack watched in fascination, seeing Ada not just as a stranger, but as someone who had created a life filled with wonder and beauty despite the pain. Can I touch it? He asked, his curiosity bubbling over. Of course, Ada said, her heart swelling with newfound affection for this human who dared to ask rather than take. She showed him how to bend down and approach the flower with respect. As Jack gently brushed his fingers against it, he felt the soft warmth radiate from its petals. In that moment, as they shared the beauty of the glade, something profound shifted within their hearts. It was more than a simple connection. It was an awakening. They were two souls, united by a yearning for understanding, acceptance, and belonging. Ada, Jack said slowly, I want to know you, and not just this place. I want to understand your story, the truth behind those who call you a monster. Yes, but be cautious, she replied, her expression earnest. There are many who would not understand, and some who may wish to harm you for knowing me. I'm not afraid, Jack declared, determination lacing his voice. I'll face whatever comes, because you're worth it. The promise hung in the air between them, palpable and heavy. They leaned closer, hearts racing with the thrill of possibilities, even as the shadows of the world outside loomed ever closer. With the moonlight filtering through the canopy, Jack and Ada spent the evening exchanging stories. The glade seemed to pulse with life, resonating with the emotions that intertwined the two beings from different worlds. Jack shared snippets of his life, his childhood, the pressures he faced as a scientist, and his desire to create harmony between species. Each word drew Ada closer, melting away her apprehensions. As the hours ticked by, Ada opened up about her own life. She spoke of her family, the persecution her people faced, and the legends that painted them as monsters. Tears glinted in her eyes, reflecting the pain of her past. Many Zolothians have lost hope, buried beneath fear and hatred. I thought I was alone in my dreams of acceptance. Jack's heart ached for her. You're not alone, Ada. You have me. Together, we can change the narrative. We can show the world you are more than just a monster in their stories. The intensity of his gaze ignited a fire within her. How could he believe in her when so many others had not? Trust built slowly between them, like the steady weave of threads binding their fate. Days turned to weeks as Jack returned to the glade, each meeting deepening their bond. They explored the surrounding wilderness together, discovering the rich tapestry of life that thrived under their feet. Jack documented their encounters, striving to understand Ada's world, while she revealed aspects of her culture that shattered preconceived notions. The boundaries they had once carried began to fade. One evening, Jack brought a small surprise. He had crafted a pendant from a glowing stone he found in the forest, a keepsake from their shared sanctuary. "I want you to have this," he said, placing the pendant in Ada's palm. A reminder that beauty exists beyond fear. Ada gasped at the delicate craftsmanship, touched by his thoughtful gesture. "Jack, this is beautiful. Thank you." As she slipped the pendant around her neck, she felt its warmth against her skin. "It's a piece of your world, just as you are a piece of mine." Their connection bloomed, a fragile yet sturdy alliance forged amidst adversity. It wasn't without challenges. Whispers of their meetings pierced the walls of the glade like poisoned arrows. Rumors spread among the nearby human settlements, murmurs painting Jack as a traitor and Ada as a monster poised to unleash havoc. One fateful evening, as dusk settled over the forest, they sat together beneath the gaze of the silver moon. The glow of the pendant cast soft shadows, revealing the intensity in Jack's gaze. "Ada, we can't hide forever. You deserve to be seen for who you truly are." "I'm afraid of what they will do if they see me," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I've faced rejection my entire life. They will not see me as you do." He reached out for her hands, entwining their fingers. "Then let's show them. I will stand by you, no matter the consequence. Alone, they fear you. Together, we can change that." A flicker of hope ignited within Ada, a spark that could ignite a revolution. But she also recognized the risk. If we do this, we must be ready for anything. They may not accept our truth. "I'm ready," Jack said, unwavering in his resolve. "I've never been more sure of anything." Little did they know, as they made plans to unveil their bond to the world, forces conspired in the shadows. A group of extremist humans, fueled by fear and hatred towards the Zolothians, caught wind of Jack venturing into alien territories. They viewed him as a threat, an enemy of their kind, foolishly leading a beloved community down a path of disaster. As Jack and Ada prepared to step into the unknown, the stage was set for a confrontation that would test their courage and challenge the very prejudices that had held them captive for so long. The air was thick with tension as Jack and Ada approached the edge of the human settlement the next day. They had decided that this was the moment, a moment that could change everything. As they neared the outskirts, Jack's heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. He looked at Ada, whose eyes glimmered with both fear and determination. "Remember," Jack murmured, holding her hand tightly. "Just be yourself. Speak your truth. Together, we can show them what they fear is not reality." Ada nodded, feeling the warmth of his reassurance seep into her being. They stepped into the light of the human settlement, the cacophony of voices and bustling activity enveloping them. At first, the townsfolk were oblivious to their presence. Jack took a deep breath, feeling Ada's pulse quicken beside him, and they strode forward. As they crossed into the main square, Jack's heart dropped. A group of individuals, angry, loud, and filled with a venomous fury, gathered at the center. They held signs denouncing the Zolothians, their words steeped in hatred. Jack recognized several faces among them, people he knew from his research circuit, and his stomach churned. "Traitor to your kind," one man shouted, pointing a finger at Jack, his voice filled with rage. "You consort with monsters. Are you out of your mind?" A wave of fear washed over Ada, but as she glanced at Jack, she found resilience reflecting back at her. "Stay close," he whispered, his grip reassuring. They pressed forward together. "Everyone, please listen," Jack called, raising his voice above the din. "I'm here to show you that Ada is not what you think. She is not a monster. She is a living being with feelings, just like us." The crowd went silent for a moment, eyes darting between Jack and Ada, assessing them like hunters tracking prey. Then a woman shouted, "She will destroy us all. She'll bring her kind here to take our lives." "No," Ada cried out, her voice carrying a tremor. I am not here to harm anyone. I came to show that we can live together. I want understanding, not conflict. I only seek to share my world. Her words seemed to suspend time, a tangible sense of vulnerability radiating from her presence. But this only fueled the crowd's animosity. Shouts erupted again, anger fueling a spiral of hate. Get away from her! A man bellowed, shoving Jack forward. You're too far gone to save. As the threats escalated, Jack stepped protectively in front of Ada. Stop, he demanded. If you're willing to hurt her, you're showing your own monstrosity. Look at her. She is scared, just as you would be if you were in her place. A pause hung in the air, a fragile thread of tension that could snap at any moment. But the extremist leader rallied the crowd, and they surged forward like a tidal wave, their fear morphing into fury. Enough! The voice cut through the air, harsh, commanding. Jack turned to see one of his former colleagues, a man named Alan, stepping forward with authority. We cannot allow this. This creature does not belong here. Alan, please, Jack shouted, desperation coating his words. Don't you see? Ada is not a monster. She is worthy of respect and dignity. We have to break this cycle of hatred. But Alan's expression hardened. You're making a grave mistake, Jack. These creatures have caused pain and suffering. We cannot trust them. Enraged cries erupted from the crowd, growing more chaotic. Jack felt a knot of fear tighten in his stomach as he realized they were moving toward violence, their anger coiling like a spring ready to snap. Jack, we need to leave. Ada urged, pulling at his arm, her fear palpable. But Jack shook his head, unwilling to turn away from this fight. I can't abandon you. You deserve to be heard. Suddenly, someone hurled a rock, and it struck Ada's arm. She gasped, the pain radiating through her. Jack's protective instincts ignited, and he stepped forward, his anger boiling over. Enough, he roared, adrenaline surging through him as he blocked them from Ada. I'll not let you harm her. Instead of retreating, he stood resolute, facing the mob that seemed ready to lose control. This is not how we solve our differences. This is every bit the monster you fear. As the crowd began to close in, Jack felt Ada's presence next to him, calm yet fierce. Jack, she said softly, we should go. We can't change their minds here. Not like this. In that moment, a stillness fell over the gathering as Ada's serenity contrasted with the chaos. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her voice slicing through the tension. This violence will not solve anything, she said, her tone firm yet filled with sorrow. I come in peace, seeking connection. I won't fight you, but know this, I will not allow fear to extinguish my light. Her words resonated with the crowd, and Jack sensed a shift as they absorbed her message. The writhing anger began to falter, replaced by a reluctant hesitation. But the murmurs grew again, fueled by fear. Taking her hand once more, Jack whispered, We need to go now. Gathering their courage, they turned to leave. As they moved through the crowd, a handful of the more aggressive townsfolk surged forward, determined to turn fear into violence. Jack felt the weight of the world press down on him as he and Ada stumbled back, bewildered. But Ada faced them. You may see a monster, but I am a being of love and light. I will not flee in shame. Her voice rang out, fierce and soulful. Then, the conflict ignited around them, pandemonium erupting as Jack's worst fears began to materialize. Without a clear path to escape and the looming threat on their shoulders, Jack and Ada fought to stay connected amidst the chaos. The air buzzed with chaos as Jack and Ada struggled to navigate the tumultuous crowd that had quickly turned hostile. Cries of anger and fear pooled around them, threatening to drown out the resolve they had built. Jack gritted his teeth, every instinct urging him to protect Ada as several townsfolk pushed forward. Stay close, he shouted, staying between Ada and the advancing hostility. He felt her trembling beside him, a stark reminder of the danger they faced. Glancing back at her, he saw a flicker of fear in her eyes, a sight that ignited a protective fire within him. Jack, she called, her voice heavy with trepidation as she pointed to a group of men brandishing makeshift weapons. "They're coming for us. I won't let them hurt you," Jack declared, the fierceness in his voice surprising even him. It was one thing to stand up for her, the brave adventurer, but this was entirely different. It was about survival. As they evaded the throng, Jack felt a surge of adrenaline and an overwhelming need to shield Ada from the chaos. But amidst the turmoil, he couldn't ignore the raw bond that was blossoming between them. "Just hold on," Jack urged as they broke free from the masses. He spotted a narrow alleyway leading away from the square. "This way!" They dashed down the alley, hearts pounding as the sounds of the crowd faded, replaced by their rapid breaths. When they reached the end, Jack halted, turning to face Ada, breathless. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice breaking. The sight of her pale face and the nervous tremor in her body gripped at his heart. "I'm okay," she said, though her eyes betrayed her fear. "But what now? They will come after us." Before she could finish, Jack stepped closer, urgency sparking in his gaze. "No, look at me, Ada." He took her hands, grounding her amidst the storm of emotions swirling around them. "We can't let them dictate who we are or what we can be. We can fight prejudices with truth, and I need you to believe that." Ada met his eyes, and for a moment, it felt as if time had paused. Within that charged silence, the gears of understanding clicked into place. "You care for me, don't you?" she asked, vulnerability lacing her voice. "I do," Jack confessed, his voice quiet yet steady. "I've never felt this way about anyone. The moment I saw you, I knew there was something special. You're more than the monster in their stories. You're real, Ada, and you're beautiful." Unexpected tears welled in Ada's eyes, trembling with emotion as Jack's words resonated within her. "You're not afraid of me," she breathed, searching his gaze for any hint of reluctance. "Not at all," he replied earnestly, his grip tightening around her hands. "I see you, truly see you, and I refuse to allow anyone to erase that connection." Emotion flooded over them, and in that moment, all the walls Ada had fortified within her crumbled. From growing up alone and misunderstood to standing with a man who dared to embrace her truth, she felt liberated. The love they were forging ran deeper than what others could understand. "You are my light, Jack," she whispered, her voice shaky. Lost in the gravity of the moment, Jack leaned closer, heart racing as he finally closed the distance. Their lips brushed gingerly, a hesitant meeting that ignited a flood of warmth between them. Ada melted into him, sensing the promise of safety and acceptance, a seal on their resolve to fight for a future together. But before they could lose themselves in that precious moment, footsteps echoed through the alleyway, harsh and unrelenting. The sounds of anger returned, reverberating with the intentions of those who sought to tear them apart. "We need to move," Jack urged, pulling back and scanning their surroundings. They could not be caught in the open, not after what had happened. "This way." Without knowing where they were headed, he led Ada through a series of narrow turns, navigating further into the heart of the town, adrenaline surging more intensely with every step. Their connection felt more potent now. Each heartbeat became a bond against the chaos. As they emerged into a shadowy side street, they spotted a group of people gathering at the end. Jack's blood ran cold as he recognized Alan among them, his expression grim and determined. "They're rounding up everyone. We have to do something, Jack," she said, panic lining her voice. Jack paused, torn. "We need to find a way out of here. We can't stand and fight, not yet." Ada squeezed Jack's hand, grounding him, her own resolve firming the air between them. "I won't hide anymore. We need to show them who we are, together." With Ada's unwavering power beside him, Jack's fear began to corrode under the warmth of her courage. "You're right," he acknowledged, nodding fiercely. "Let's find a way to confront them before they turn on others." As they prepared to step forward, a cacophony echoed from the end of the street, and Jack's eyes widened in realization. A torchlit procession of townsfolk marched closer, carrying signs depicting Zolothian horrors and threats of violence. "We're running out of time," Ada said, her heart racing. We need to act fast. Jack locked eyes with her, and in that moment, they both understood what they had to do. Breaking free from the shadows, they stepped into the light together, hearts forged in newfound resolve. It's time to reclaim our story, Jack proclaimed, voice steady and resolute. No more fear. As Jack and Ada stepped into the light, the crowd halted, eyes widening at the sight of the alien woman standing boldly beside the human who had dared to confront them. Ada's heart raced under the weight of their stares. She could feel the palpable tension in the air. Look, it's the monster, someone shouted, bitterness lacing their voice. The crowd stirred, the anger reigniting as they rallied around their familiar fears. Jack held on to Ada's hand tightly. No, he called out, silencing the gathering for a brief moment. You are scared of what you do not understand, but I am here, and I choose to stand with Ada. She is not a monster. She is a being deserving of love and respect. Ada's heart swelled at Jack's words, but doubt flickered in the depths of her mind. Would they ever accept her? Yesterday, I believed in the stories you told, Jack continued, his voice unwavering. But today, I have seen with my own eyes the truth, the beauty, the kindness that resides within Ada. It's imperative we abandon these outdated beliefs. A slow murmur rippled through the crowd. Some seemed conflicted, while others clung fiercely to their ingrained prejudices. Alan stepped forward, his brows furrowed in disbelief. You are risking everything, Jack. You would associate with a creature that could destroy us all. Jack's expression hardened. You think she is the threat? The true monsters are the ones blinded by fear, willing to harm the innocent to secure their own delusions. At that moment, Ada took a step forward, her voice steady but filled with emotion. You see what you want to see. I stand before you not as a horror, but as a being who longs for connection. I want to create peace, not conflict. With the strength drawn from Jack's support, Ada stepped further into the light, her shimmer catching the flames of the torches. The crowd's anger momentarily faltered as they absorbed her words. She took a deep breath, words trembling in the air like the leaves above them. If you fear me, I understand fear is an instinct, but so is love. I can feel the pain that fuels your anger. I too have experienced loneliness and prejudice. I came here seeking acceptance, and yet I find only hostility. Why should we believe you? Someone spat, skepticism thick in their tone. Because I am willing to fight against that fear, she replied earnestly. I am willing to show you that I can coexist with humanity, to learn from one another. But I also know our people must overcome their past, and that begins with the bravery to change perspective. The air grew still, tension intertwining with the hope of change. Jack glanced at Ada, and in that shared moment, he felt an energetic current, one that mirrored a deep-rooted instinct within him. Together, we can forge a new path, he echoed. He leaned closer to Ada, their shoulders brushing, the intimacy of the moment stirring within him. In that embrace, they felt something more profound, a yearning that transcended the chaos surrounding them. The connection Jack had with Ada was more than just friendship. It coursed through him like a wildfire, igniting a passion that surged through every fiber of his being. He envisioned a reality where they could be together, unfettered by the prejudices of their worlds. Adrenaline surged through his veins, mingling with a longing that was impossible to ignore. He remembered their moments of shared vulnerability in the glade, the soft touches, the intense gazes that said more than words ever could. And now, in the midst of chaos, that fire intensified. As the crowd hesitated, Jack took a step forward, closing the distance between him and Ada. This bond, he said breathlessly, looking into her eyes, is a commitment I am willing to fight for. We're meant to connect. I want to share with you all that I am. I want to know what it means to be with you, to feel you, to be together. Ada's heart raced at his declaration, and she felt a warmth seep through her, a desire to bridge the divide between their peoples, to seal their bond in a connection deeper than anything they had ever known. As the tension in the crowd shifted, Ada's voice grew firm, yet gentle. And I, too, would gladly share my essence with you, Jack, to interlace our lives and create something beautiful together. I want to mate with you, to defy their fears with our love. The implications of her words hung in the air like a spell, words imbued with longing and vulnerability. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, the whispers carrying both disbelief and the first vestiges of understanding. Jack's heart raced, feeling the weight of her declaration, an act of profound intimacy that united them against a world bent on tearing them apart. Together, we can shatter the illusions and show everyone that we belong to each other, no matter the challenges, Jack vowed, determination shining in his eyes. As they stood together, the crowd began to feel the shift from anger to curiosity. They began to see Jack and Ada not as enemies, but as two beings united in a shared quest for acceptance and understanding. But as the hesitation turned to murmurings, a sudden voice rang out from the back, deep and harsh. "Traitors, you would align yourself with that foul creature. She's here to lead you all to doom." The alight anger of that voice reignited the tension, but Jack wouldn't allow it to tear their moment apart. Are we willing to let fear guide our actions? Or will we allow love and understanding to flourish? As the crowd's reaction became more fervent, the stakes were raised. Would they accept this new reality? The burning desire between Jack and Ada would ignite a fight not only for themselves, but for the acceptance of their bond in a world clinging to outdated beliefs. The true battle for their future had begun, not just against the prejudice outside, but in shifting the hearts and minds of those who stood before them. The tension hung thick in the air as Jack and Ada stood at the forefront, their hands intertwined, ready to face the storm of doubt and prejudice that loomed before them. Each heartbeat felt like a rallying cry against the clamor of hatred, the whispers of fear slowly fading into the background. "Look at us," Jack called out, scanning the faces fixated on them, some with anger, others with curiosity. "We are not foes. We are here in search of truth, in search of love. Ada and I are willing to break down the walls that divide us." His declaration wove a magnetic thread through the crowd, pulling some toward understanding. Ada felt that energy permeate the space. They shared a glance, understanding that this was their moment, not just to affirm their love, but to transform it into a bridge connecting two worlds. Ada stepped in front of Jack, her voice steady yet infused with a profound vulnerability. "If we can look beyond our differences, we can discover that love is universal. I may be a Zolothian, but I have feelings, dreams, and desires just like any human. I wish to mate with Jack, to share our lives and our bodies together, not as enemies, but as partners in a shared journey." The word mate echoed through the crowd, evoking various reactions, a blend of shock, intrigue, and even shame. Jack could see the faces of those around him shift, the seeds of doubt fracturing under the weight of their shared spirit. "Imagine a world where we can learn from one another, where love breaks the barriers of fear," he urged. "Together, let's forge a new story, one where all beings, regardless of origin, find acceptance and unity." A silence enveloped the square, like a moment held in breath. But then, "You're a fool, Jack," Alan shouted, anger cutting through the uncertainty. "You would align yourself with that foul creature. She's here to lead you all to doom. Will you not consider the doom wrought by hatred?" Jack shot back, his voice rising. "The chaos we see today is born from fear. I refuse to allow our love to be tainted by ancient prejudices." Ada positioned herself beside Jack, emboldened by the buoyancy of support. "Even if you fear me now, I will not waver. I will prove to you that love can conquer and heal. Our mating is not just a joining of bodies. It is the merging of our spirits in a quest for understanding." The crowd stirred again, the identities of individuals melding together, creating an uneasy alliance against the well-worn fears holding them captive. One woman stepped forward, eyes glistening. Maybe it's time we listen. Maybe love is worth exploring rather than fearing." As whispers of agreement echoed amongst the group, Jack felt a shift. The crowd began to transform. While some stood firm in their convictions, others leaned toward the possibility of understanding and acceptance. "That's right," another voice chimed. "If they can bridge their differences, perhaps we can too." As the atmosphere softened, Jack's heart raced, sensing the tide of change, an awareness that their fight for acceptance was far from over, but was now illuminated by flickers of hope. "We'll show you our bond," Jack exclaimed, stepping closer to Ada, his gaze intense. "By embracing our differences in intimacy, we can demonstrate that love transcends fear. We're more than just our races. We're beings intertwined in a profound connection." Jack and Ada exchanged a knowing look before sharing a passionate kiss, sealing their intention as partners. The intimacy of that moment, both fierce and gentle, spoke volumes, resonating deep within the hearts of those gathered. It was a moment meant to be witnessed, one that would stay etched in the memories of those present. In that kiss, they poured out their hopes for a shared future, one where societal expectations would not tarnish their bond. Jack felt the electric surge of Ada's essence ignite within him, and he knew that their union would pave the way for acceptance, one they dreamed of but had thought impossible. As they embraced, a thunderous applause erupted from the crowd, a hesitant yet growing wave of acknowledgement and acceptance. The sound enveloped them like the embrace of a long-lost family, a sign that boundaries were beginning to dissolve and hearts were slowly opening. "Together, we will fight for our right to mate to love," Ada declared, her voice echoing with fervor. "Yes," Jack echoed, feeling invincible alongside her. "We stand united, not only as individuals, but as a testament to what can be accomplished when we embrace love over fear." In that moment of unity, Jack and Ada had not only discovered each other, but were also paving the way for a future filled with connection, compassion, and transformation. As the crowd began to disperse, conversation sparked around them, filled with new perspectives and fresh understandings. They had ignited a change, a chance for coexistence to flourish united under the shared banner of love. Together, Jack and Ada faced the dawn of a new era, their souls intertwined, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. They knew their mating would symbolize the hope that love could prevail against even the darkest of prejudices.